good evening. Welcome to the Tunnel Podcast, episode 41 of the greatest podcast in the world. Delighted to say I'm joined, as always, by Tom Goff to talk through the second tier of English football and rejoice in what has been quite a short week, actually. An uneventful transfer window, a couple of games to speak about, but we have got a bit of chatter throughout the next 60 minutes or so. Tom, how are we doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, bud. Yourself?
Oh, listen, it's been a long week. I'm looking forward to the weekend, maybe getting my feet up on the poofy and open up a couple of cold ones and enjoying a bit of Championship football on Saturday. That would do me lovely because there's some good games on. Obviously, it's the FA Cup as well. Yeah. I'm stepping out Monday night to see the local side, Donny Rovers, play against your favourite, Big Jean-Pierre. He's coming up, Big Jean-Pierre Mateta, against Palace. I think it's close to a sellout from what I've seen earlier today. 400 tickets left, so should be a good night. Monday night, I'll report back. We'll be on Sunday night instead of Monday this week, just to kind of catch up. And that hopefully joined by a guest, a Swansea fan, who's doing a lot of Steph. He's doing a lot of TikTok live stuff, so hopefully we'll get to see him with us on Sunday. Talk through Swansea and obviously the results from the weekend as well. Okay, then look, the title of the podcast: Boring Burnley. It's where we're going to kick off. Tom, you know, I will hammer you with the first, the opening gambit. 10 goalless draws, the joint most since 2008. And let's not forget, Burnley have still got games to play. It's not over yet for them. So we spoke about this kind of between ourselves last week before, just about the lack of goals, especially at home. Their home fans are not seeing a hell of a lot of action. Is it fair because they are sitting second in the league currently?
Yeah, look, I'll tell you what, probably about an hour ago, I caught up with the highlights because I didn't watch the game live in midweek, and I caught up with the highlights from the game against Oxford. To be fair, it wasn't a 1-0. The scoreline suggests it might have been another drab affair, but Burnley missed a hell of a lot of chances. It looked quite entertaining watch. Like I said, Burnley should have had at least 4 or 5 in the back of the net, to be honest with you. Combination of some great saves from the Oxford keeper and some absolute, stinking misses from the Burnley players. But yeah, you've just kind of read out that stat there. It's been an odd old season for him, hasn't it? Because like you said, they've had all these 0-0 draws. They're incredibly good at the back. I think they're on course, aren't they, to easily beat kind of all the records set previously in terms of goals conceded throughout the season and clean sheets throughout the season. I think they're going to absolutely smash it. And like you said, they're sitting second in the league. 5 points behind leaders Leeds United, but yeah, it doesn't quite tell the whole picture, does it? Because they're really struggling for goals, and like you said, especially at home, they've had so many 0-0 draws at Turf Moor. And yeah, I was kind of doing a little bit of digging, bit of research today. Just kind of get a better idea as to what the fan base is saying, and it does seem like it's very much split in that. There's a proportion of them who are saying, well, look, the aim is to get promoted. We're on course for that. Goals and performances don't necessarily matter as long as we can get back into the Premier League. But then there definitely seems to be a large proportion as well who are saying, I'm spending my hard-earned money to come along to Turf Moor every other week. And, more times than not, it's an absolute bore fest. I'm walking out of here without seeing a single goal and, not many chances created. So, it's a bit of an odd one for him, isn't it? It's, I kind of think back to when we were in the West Brom, we were in the Premier League with Tony Pulis, and I think it's one of those, isn't it? When results are going your way, and you're putting points on the board, then you're kind of maybe willing as a fan to compromise a bit on the quality and the entertainment on offer. But then I think as soon as results start to slip, that's when the fans start to then kind of, start having a bit of a moan and a groan at at the football that's on show. And I think that's quite a true reflection, hasn't it? You know, when Burnley have had a couple of little stutters throughout the season, you know, the fans have been having a moan and a groan about the lack of entertainment, the lack of goals being scored, all the 0-0 draws. So, yeah, it's been a funny season for him. Like you said, you look at the table, second league doesn't kind of tell the whole picture, does it?
No, you made a great point. The top 5 best defences in English league history. Burnley are miles clear. You know, I know they've still got games to play, but you look at Liverpool from 1978, 79, Chelsea 2004, 2005, Gillingham 95, 96, Arsenal 98, 99, goals against 16, 15, 20 and 17 respectively. So you could see Burnley kind of, as you say, smashing that out of the water come the end of the season. Do you think this has been a bit of a pile-on since the Leeds game? Because it was the Monday night game, there was no Premier League game on, more eyes were on the Championship that evening, and there seemed to be, it's from the next morning, in fact, probably from about half-time actually in that game, you know, the comments started coming in, you know, TalkSport, all the major outlets jumped on it in the morning, and it seemed to kind of grow from there.
Yeah, I think that game definitely pushed it into the limelight a little bit more, for sure. I think, look, it was 2 teams duking it out at the top of the Championship table. It was getting billed as, you know, it was going to be this exciting game, 2 of the best in the division, and it was just an absolute bore fest, wasn't it? And look, it takes 2 to tango, doesn't it? Leeds played their part in that as well. I think Leeds went along with the mindset that if we get a point here, it's going to be a good point. You know, it keeps us kind of moving forward. But yeah, I think it was, like I said, it kind of thrust Burnley into the limelight a bit more in that, you know, is this what their fans are having to kind of endure week in, week out? All right, they might be absolutely brilliant defensively, but you know, it seems like it's a bit painful to go along and watch and play. So I think you're right. But look, Scott Parker, I think
is he to blame here?
I think, look, it's his approach. You know, I think we've had this discussion before, haven't we? That he's. I'm trying to think how to word it, because I don't think he's. You know, he's obviously He's obviously got something. Let's put it that way. He's obviously got something. He's got a few teams promoted out of the division now. And it looks like there's a very good chance he's going to get Burnley, you know, promoted out of the division as well. But it's odd because he's always had really good squads available to him. He's always had, you know, great Championship squads that, you know, their expectations are to try and get out of the division automatically. And he's always kind of, there's always been moans and groans from the fan bases of those teams that he's not, in terms of entertainment, attacking approach, goals, excitement, you know, he's not getting enough out of them. So it's one of them, really, isn't it? You know what you're getting with him. And I think maybe that was one of the reasons why maybe Burnley made the decision to bring him in, was that they're desperate to get back into the division. They've got, you know, a manager here who knows what it takes to get teams out of the division. Okay, the football might not necessarily be great. He's very pragmatic, Parker. He's very kind of like risk averse. That's probably the best way to describe him. And I think people get frustrated with that when you look at some of the attacking players he's had available to him over the years. But I'm pretty sure if you were to ask the Burnley board, you know, have they got any concerns at this moment in time with the job Parker's doing, I'm sure they'll say no. You know, like I said, they're well in that mix. They've got a good chance of going up automatically. They're dead certs to at the very least, get in the playoffs. So, you know, in their eyes, he's doing a good job. But like I said, I think there's definitely a proportion of their fan base who even though they sit second, are starting to get frustrated.
Do you think as well that it's a bit of a double-edged sword, this, because he's getting loads of plaudits today? I saw on Sky Sports News earlier on, they were sort of questioning about being the meanest defence in Europe at the moment, which is great. He lapped it up. He kind of said, you know, that he's immensely proud of that. It's remarkable, really. He said, it's come from a good structure. We're putting on different presses for different games. It's not just luck, which is great. And he kind of, as I say, he kind of lapped it up and immersed himself in it. However, it's a great foundation if it works to take up into the next division. If they do go up, making sure you're not letting any in the back and then build on that attacking play. However, if they go up into the Premier League early doors and start shipping loads of goals counter to what they've been doing season before, same personnel, etc., then as I say, it could be a bit of a double-edged sword.
Yeah, that's a great point, and that's what's happened in the past, mate. Is that he's, like I said, he's got teams out of the Championship quite comfortably at times. He's really pulled away and absolutely smashed the league. But then he has always struggled then when he's got into the Premier League, and he hasn't lasted very long. And that would be definitely a concern from the Burnley fans. I think you're right. We had this conversation in the last pod, didn't we? That I'm a firm believer that teams that get promoted from the Championship, the best chance they have of staying then in the Premier League is you've got to spend money, but it's taking a more is potentially having to sacrifice some of the football you might have played in the Championship and taking a more pragmatic approach, putting as much attention as possible into your defence and getting things tight at the back, making it difficult for the opposition. And then moving on from there, like I said, you look at Ipswich and Southampton who've tried to play football this season. They're just getting beat comfortably every week, shipping loads and loads of goals. So, yeah, look, I think, the way he, likes the way his teams play ultimately and how he sets them up, would, in my opinion, have a better chance of staying in the league. Premier League next season, if they were to get a bit of backing as well. But yeah, I don't know. This is the thing with him is, like I said, he's had a few shots at the Premier League now, and he's not been able to kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of
the ideas just don't seem to grasp there, do they?
That's it. And this is the thing, like it's just such a jump in standards and quality. The attacking players that you're coming up against week in, week out in the Championship, they're a good, good level, good standards, some absolute top players in the Championship. But, as we all know, it just cranks up a notch, doesn't it, as soon as you get in the Prem. And like you said, a solid...
Almost 2 notches now when you go into the...
Yeah. And a solid defence in the Championship, really solid defence in the Championship, could quite easily struggle as soon as they, start playing some of the better teams in the Premier League. So, yeah, look, it's an odd one, isn't it? It's an odd one because you like I said, you'd think, you sat second with probably about less than a third of the season to go. You think their fans would be, jubilant, having the time of their lives. But I've just written down a couple of things here. There was a great article. I was saying to you, I was trying to root out that article before we clicked play, and they were asking some fans what their opinion is, season ticket holders. Like, what's your opinion on people are saying here, the last promotion season was my favourite ever as Burnley fan, obviously under Vincent Kompany. But now I've never been so happy to give up my season ticket. It's absolutely dreary. Last season was awful too, but this one has been a test. Proud of the defence, but what's the point of turning up if it's boring and frustrating?
Do you think, just before you read out another one, do you think just on that one there then, that because fans of Championship clubs know now how much of a gargantuan task it is to stay in the Premier League, when they do go up, they want to enjoy it. They want it to be full of flair and, pizzazz, and you want to be seeing goals every week, and you want to be seeing your team absolutely dismantle everyone in the Championship, rather than this approach where it's a bit more reserved, as you say, it's a bit more, unpragmatic, if there is such a word. And then, if you do go up, it's like, well, we're probably gonna go back down anyway. I'm gonna have to suffer this again the following season.
Mate, well, that's exactly it. You kind of I was going to make, a very similar point in it. If you were to ask an Ipswich fan, well, would you, if you could go back, would you rather, play how you did in the Championship last season, which was, really exciting, attacking football on the front foot, great to watch, lots of goals, taking it to the opposition. And then you tried to take that into the Premier League, but you took some beatings, you've struggled to pick up points, and you've come back down. Or like you said, kind of grind a season out in the Championship like Burnley are doing. You might give it you've got a better chance of staying up, but ultimately it's still going to be tough to stay in a division. Which one of those are you going to prefer? I think 9 times out of 10 fans are going to pick the first one, aren't they? They're going to rather see entertaining football and then trying to carry that in to a division where you're most likely going to come down anyway. Spring a few surprises maybe, but you're still trying to entertain your fans, who are paying their hard-earned money to come and watch you play. This is the other thing I think with football nowadays as well, mate. It's so expensive. It's so expensive for everyone. I know there's big differences and gaps in terms of different teams and how much they charge, etc., etc. But even still,
you mean for supporters, it's expensive for us to go to games, yeah?
Yeah, it's expensive for us to go to games. Even more so. You probably don't have to go back too far. The hike in ticket prices has been kind of crazy, hasn't it? In recent years, ever since I've been a football fan, that consistent hike in prices, it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So I do feel like fans nowadays do feel more of a right almost to go along and be entertained, to watch something. I think that the days of where you supported your team and you didn't really care what played out on the pitch, as long as they got a result, or it was I'm trying to say, I think football's changed in that now people are paying a lot to go and watch a football game. They want to be entertained, and they feel like there's a right to be entertained. And I think that plays a part as well. Fans going along and kind of having a moan and a groan about the football. Burnley. I think it's a really good example of that. So
before you pull up another one, there, out of the top 3 sides, we've got Leeds United, Sheffield United, Burnley. We'll part Sunderland in the conversation for a minute because. Oh, okay. We'll bring him in. Actually, because I think they probably fall in and help my argument slightly. So, out of those 4 teams, I think 3 sets of fans are actually quite excited about the prospect of playing in the Premier League, and 1 isn't. And I would say that's the Burnley fans. I think, but if you ask Burnley fans now, they're probably split in terms of do they want to go up or don't they want to go up. They feel that they're probably equipped for the Premier League, whereas the other 3 probably feel that maybe they're not equipped, but they'd go up and give it a good go. Whereas Burnley, I don't think will go up and give it a go. Is that fair?
Mate, I think you're spot on. Look, again, we're obviously not Burnley fans, and we don't know what's being said in the ground and stuff. But just from the coverage of them and stuff I've seen in social media, like I said, this article I'm reading is off the BBC. They've done a bit of an interview with fans after the game midweek to get their opinion and stuff, and it does very much seem split between them. So I think you're right. I think Scott Parker's previous record with teams he's got promoted, and then he's floundered when he's got them up into the Premier League. It's not been long before he's been given the boot. That's got to be worrying them a bit as well. So yeah, it is an odd one. It is very odd, but I'm going to sit on the fence here. I can see both sides of the argument, to be honest with you. It's, I think it's quite difficult to pick one. And it seems like the Burnley fan base are the same, they're very much 50-50. Either they're happy, they're getting results, they've got a good chance of going up. Let's not concern ourselves about the performance on the pitch. But then there's those who are, and they're saying they're not getting entertained, as Maximus Decimus Murilius once said, are you not entertained? Do you know what I mean?
You've definitely got that DVD behind you somewhere. 100%. Just on you seeing things are odd, 10 goalless draws would probably predict, any other season that would be, a mid-table side, like a Derby maybe, or a a Watford, somewhere of that ilk, just kind of bumbling on Bristol City. They must be doing something right to have 10 goalless draws and still be in, the pack to go up tells you they are doing something. right on the pitch. Just when you said about odd, for us, we can see they've got a great defence, right? But they don't seem to be doing much from set plays. Don't seem to be creating much from out wide. You've said for numerous weeks since that probably watched that Burnley Sunderland game that both of those sides don't have a striker. Well, Sunderland went out and tried to rectify that in the window. Burnley didn't really go out and get that kind of focal point, that number 9. But were you shocked by that?
Yeah, because I thought, what's the lad they brought in from Sporting Lisbon? Yeah, so again, I told you, didn't I, last time round, that I didn't know too much about the lad. And then, I was surprised kind of, to read up on him, to find that, he wasn't, your traditional number 9 target man goal scorer. He's, can play out wide in a front three, and, he can play a bit of a kind of forward role as well. So I was surprised. It sounds like the lad's a talent, and he will obviously go some way to add in more of a threat going forward. But I was just really surprised that they didn't just go for like you said, a kind of stereotypical number 9.
I'm sorry to guess, but an Adam Armstrong, he'd have been perfect.
Well, the thing, exactly. I know. Look, Armstrong's not the biggest, but he is a goal scorer, isn't he? He can play, and that's it.
The division, you said, there's arguably no one better in the last few years.
Yeah, that's it. So, again, I don't understand how, they we don't know if they made a move for Armstrong or not, but surely they would have had, they've got more money available to them than we have at this moment in time. If they were keen to bring him in. And look at what's his name, Iheanacho, who went to Middlesbrough. Again, he's the kind of player I'm talking about. A big, strong number 9, someone who knows where the back of the net is, to try and bring together, the talented wingers and the talented kind of attacking midfielders that Burnley have got. But it seems like they've just gone and brought in another kind of attacking forward / winger, can play as a striker, but. Yeah, it was strange that wasn't their kind of primary focus, and that they didn't bring anyone in of that ilk.
Just finally on Burnley, they're still in the FA Cup. They travel to Southampton this weekend. That could be a real drab affair for anyone. Putting up picture, I know Southampton beat Ipswich the other week, but I think that was the manager's first win since he came in. I think he went on 6 defeats in a row until that one. So, it's not going to be a real gauge, is it, for what we're going to see moving forward?
No, it would have been interesting to see Burnley coming up against, a Crystal Palace or a Brighton or an Everton or someone like that, because I think that would have been interesting, considering obviously what we've been talking about, to see maybe where they're at and how their defence could potentially cope with some Premier League attackers, coming up against some Premier League attackers. Sorry, so but Southampton, it doesn't really. I know they're a Premier League team, but they're obviously coming straight back down, aren't they? And they've really struggled. So. It's pretty much 2 top Championship teams going head to head, isn't it? Really, that FA Cup tie. But look, I think they've got a very good chance of getting through to the next round.
Do you think he'll take it seriously, Scott Parker? Do you think he'll be on his
way? Yeah, I think so. I do. I think they've got a bit of depth now. As much as they didn't bring in that striker, they did make a few signings in the January transfer window. They've got a bit more depth now. There's a few of those guys who I would have fancied to start, Edwards being one of them. They brought in John Joe Shelby, didn't they? He's got some options available to him now. So, he can maybe give a couple of key players a rest, but he's got good options to bring in off the bench, to keep that balance, get that balance right going into this game in the FA Cup. So, look, I think it's Parker is quick to, there's a lot of people that seem to be, I know he's getting a lot of praise for this clean sheet record and the amount of goals they've conceded, best in Europe, etc., but he is also, getting a lot of stick out there for, you know, the fact that they're scoring so little, you know, ball fest, etc., etc. But you know, it's you can't be. I'm a firm believer in that. If you sat second in the division, you know, lost 2 games all season, then he's doing something right, isn't he? He's obviously very, very good defensively. I know it sounds stupid, you know. Obviously, you know what we've been talking stuff about, but you've got to give him credit on his defensive coaching skills because, you know, it is balmy how good they are defensively, how many clean sheets they've kept, how many goals they've conceded. 9 goals, man, in 31 games. It's just crazy, absolutely crazy. So, yeah, as much as we're having digs at him about, you know, the business ends, you know, putting him in the onion bag and all that, you know, defensively, what a job he's doing.
Okay. Look, you mentioned midweek, obviously a few games. You say Burnley obviously winning 1-0 against Oxford. Really credit to Oxford. They have been magnificent since Gary Rowett came in. I know a couple of draws in there, and that's the first of it, I think, in 5. QPR, they'd lost 2 on the bounce, managed to get that win over Blackburn, who, you know, we've spoke about. They are still sitting 5th, but there's a good chance come the end of this weekend that they won't be in the playoffs.
Yeah, it was a good win for QPR. Like you said, they'd lost a couple. You know, their incredible run obviously came to an end, and then they've stuttered slightly, haven't they? And you're thinking now, well, is that it? You know, is that them done? They've kind of put absolutely everything into that incredible run. But yeah, it was a good performance again. I caught the extended highlights. I think from the footage I watched, they thoroughly deserved the win. I don't think Blackburn Rovers offered much, to be fair, in terms of attacking threat. QPR missed a hell of a lot of chances. Ilias Chair missed about 3 or 4 himself. So, yeah, good win for them. You know, they're sat 13th, but, you know, they're only 3 points off the playoffs. That's how mad it is. So, you know, that win has kind of kept them within touching distance. And that, you know, they're at home. You know, they're, you know, probably in the top 5 teams, I think, this season that you just don't want to go and play away from home at this moment in time. They're so good at home. You know, that's where they're getting the vast majority of the points, where they were picking up a lot of those wins on that incredible run they were on. So, yeah, good win for Rangers. But like you said, it is concerning for Blackburn. Mate, I have no idea how Blackburn are still sat 5th. This is the crazy thing with this decision.
For Blackburn, it really is.
I was looking at the table, and their last, what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4. Their last 6 games, they've lost 4 and won 2, and yet they're still sat 5th. But I think that is just a bit damning to ourselves, Middlesbrough, everyone else. You know,
I'm not going to name the names of the memes that we were sharing the other day, but they were spot on in terms of what's going on at the minute for this race for 5th and 6th, aren't they?
It's almost like ourselves, Blackburn and Middlesbrough, are just trying to keep that door open to that chasing pack to say, come on, get involved, you know, join the fun. You know, no one is just taking the bull by the horn, so to speak, and saying, you know what, I want to put a bit of a run together and you know, really lock down this playoff spot. All 3 of us have just been ridiculously inconsistent of late, and you know, it's allowed all those teams, your Norwich, Bristol, Sheffield Wednesday, Coventry, Watford, Queen's Park Rangers, you know, all the way down to 13th, even 14th, Millwall. You know, they're only 4 points. It's just keeping them in the mix. It's crazy.
Do you think now that the window's closed and squads are settled again, we might see a kind of refocusing? As you say, we're now into the home straight here. Now it's you know, head down, bum up all the way. Do you think that could play a factor now that the squads are settled and everyone knows who they've got now?
Yeah, I think so. I think in the, you know, the teams as well that have strengthened, made some, you know, some good additions. I think, you know, as soon as those guys are settled, those teams with the better squad depth, I do think that they will start to emerge, if that makes sense. You know, but as of this moment, mate, it's just crazy, isn't it? How tight and contested it is. And again, I just think, all these teams are just thinking, if we can just put a bit of a good run together, at this point of the season, the last leg, it's brilliant. Again, it's what makes us look.
I was going to say this race is absolutely bloody bonkers. It's class. It's a great watch. You can't keep your eyes off it, as you say. What the other game Wednesday night, Coventry obviously lost their unbeaten run to Leeds. No shame in that. And to be fair, from watching what I saw of the game, Melly had a decent afternoon, or a decent evening, should I say. Pulled off some two saves in particular. That could have resulted in Coventry getting something from the game, but there's no shame in losing to Leeds at this moment in time.
No, definitely. I think, you're right. They did have a couple of chances. Mesley had pulled off a couple of great saves from a couple of headers, won it from set pieces. But yeah, Leeds did have a lot of chances, didn't they? The Coventry keeper made a few top class saves, and couple of the strikers, attacking players for Leeds were a bit casual when they got through. I think they were well deserved of the 3 points, Leeds, and it kind of just reinforced what I said in the last pod, in that I just feel like Leeds are a bit of a cut above at this moment in time.
They look at different animals, a different mindset from the other side. I thought we might see with Sheffield United, but not making excuses for Chris Wilder, and maybe I've been brainwashed by some of his post matches, but I don't think the injuries helped that, and there's a bit of disruption there. And I know they got players in, but it doesn't seem like they've recaptured that earlier kind of form. Whereas Leeds are just on the horse now, and they're going for it. They
just got 100%, mate. They just got, like I said last pod we did, they just got this bit of swagger about them at the minute, where they're just like, it's almost like they know they're good, they're in fine form, and like. I looked at that game on paper thinking, this will be interesting. Coventry really picked up, been on a great run at Coventry. Thinking, this could be a test for Leeds. But, you're right. Meslier did make a couple of saves, but, Leeds missed some chances themselves as well and could have run out more comfortable winners than, the 2-0 scoreline in the end. So, it was quite, I don't want to say routine for them, but, it was almost a bit comfortable, and like I said, I just can't. Something has seriously got to go wrong for them to throw this away now, because they just look a cut above. We talked about Burnley, the kind of difficulties they've been having, scoring goals. Sheffield United have been a bit inconsistent of late. Like you said, I thought maybe they had I think we both did. We thought they had the potential at one point to do what Leeds are doing, but I think, to be fair to Wilder, some of those injuries derailed that a little bit. Their hope will be the new guys that have come in, they can pick up again and get a bit of a consistent run going. Sunderland, look, I applaud Sunderland. I think Sunderland are having a tremendous season. But again, I just think they have been too inconsistent at times, drop points against teams they should be. If you've got aspirations of going up automatic, they drop teams against like Plymouth a couple of weeks back and so on. So Leeds they just look a cut above at the moment, and like I said, I just can't see anything other than them finishing as champions. 62 goals as well, man. They're scoring goals for fun at the minute.
Yeah, exactly. It's frightening. It's frightening. Look, before we we're going to speak about that. We'll always finish on the weekend's fixtures, but I want to just quickly bring in the FA Cup fixtures that feature some of the Championship teams at the weekend, if you don't mind. So we've got Leeds v Millwall, Coventry are hosting Ipswich, Preston have got Wickham. We've already mentioned Burnley, Southampton. An absolute belter at the Brit. Stoke are hosting Cardiff. That could be interesting.
That could be another 3,000 attendance jobby, something like that, wouldn't it?
But the two on Sunday, I do think are eye-catching. Blackburn are hosting Wolves, and Plymouth have obviously got Liverpool coming down there. Any kind of standouts there for you?
I'm just having a little look now. You caught me off guard a bit, mate, with the FA Cup.
That's what I'm here for. I'm here to keep you on. All right.
I'm just trying to see. Yeah.
Is there any hope whatsoever that Plymouth can recapitulate that performance for the weekend, especially defensively? And two, how important is that home park crowd going to be for them to have any
Mate,
chance
look,
against
I think you can guarantee 100% it's going to be a cracking atmosphere. You know, their fans get right behind them at home, don't they? They manage to turn it into a bit of a cauldron, don't they, of noise, which is odd because you look at the ground. I find it's quite an open stadium, but they do seem to generate a real cracking atmosphere there. Like you said, they're off the back of a great win against ourselves last time round in the league. But, mate,
how many tackles is Maxi going to celebrate on Sunday?
I'll allow it. If he puts in a cracking challenge, against Mohamed Salah, gets the ball and puts him on his arse, I'll allow it. I'll allow a celebration, all right. But then he might have to rein it in a bit if they're 5 down and he makes another. Do you know what I mean? He might have to. Look, I can't see anything. I don't think they stand a chance, mate. And Liverpool will make some changes as well. And even with the changes, I just can't see it, mate. Honestly.
Do you see any of the Championship sides causing a shock at the weekend?
I think Blackburn against Wolves. I think that's a good shout. The problem with that is Wolves are coming off the back of a great win in the league against Aston Villa. They look really good in that game. So
I watched that.
I'm just having a look. I think Coventry against Ipswich. Again, that's very similar to what we were saying about Burnley and Southampton, is that Ipswich are very much still a top Championship team. Yeah, so
I think they'd be more clout for Coventry if they put out Ipswich than if Burnley put out Southampton. Is that fair?
I think so. Yeah, I think Lampard is going to be well up for that. 100%. He'll play a strong team. He's going to go for that. So I fancy Coventry maybe to do Ipswich. I think that's one I'd definitely go with. Again, Burnley to do Southampton. I think there's a real good chance of that happening. And that's it, really, isn't it, for the Championship teams? I'm just having a look. There's again. I know we're going off a little bit. This is a Championship pod, but Blues against Newcastle's an interesting one, isn't it?
That'll be absolutely packed out. I don't know if you saw the Newcastle game last night, but it was really inspiring. It was a nice football moment. I really enjoyed that. The guy. Do you see the guy from Sam Fender playing Dire Straits before?
I haven't. No, I've seen the highlights, and the atmosphere just did sound unreal, to be honest, mate. So they're going to be well up for it because they can win this they can win the FA Cup as well, and I think they'll be going all out. They won't be taking Birmingham lightly. They'll be playing a strong team for sure. But yeah, that'll be an intriguing game. I think that one's on the telly, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, it's.
But yeah, Preston Wickham again. I think Preston Wickham. That could be a banana skin for them. Wickham are obviously having a good season in League One. Preston, if they take them, too lightly, make too many changes, that could be a bit of a banana banana skin. But yeah, I don't know. Other than Burnley and Coventry, I just can't see any of the other ones, mate. Even Blackburn Wolves, I think I'm being a bit generous there. I think Wolves will win that comfortably, if I'm being really honest.
We all know the biggest shock of the weekend is coming at the Equal Power Stadium on Monday night, all right? When Bunny Rovers knock out Palace. Right, okay, let's move swiftly on because nominees are out for January Player of the Month and Manager of the Month. I wanted to get your take on this before we kind of move on and give sort of revisit our predictions a bit later on in the campaign. Jamie Allen, Coventry, he's up there. Kieran Brown, Oxford United. Then two keepers. We've got Anthony Patterson of Sunderland and James Trafford of Burnley. Who gets your vote?
That's a tough one, to be honest. I don't know. I've been really impressed with Rowett in Oxford. We're going to go into our predictions from early on in the season and whether we want to change any of them. And I at that moment in time, I did have Oxford as one of the teams to get relegated, but honestly don't think there's
no chance.
No chance of doing that. I just think Rowett's gotten really well organised. And yeah, he's done an incredible job since he come in, to get a reaction as quickly as he has done. So I'd like it to go to the Oxford lad, to be honest with you. Trafford and Patterson, the two goalkeepers. Yeah, I think Trafford's probably going to win it, isn't he? Because
I think given what we've just spoken about for the first 25 minutes of this podcast, I think Trafford's going to get it 100%.
I think so, man. And he saved those 2 penalties, didn't he, in that one game, which was a crazy finish to that match.
Yeah.
I think it'd be nice if the Coventry or Oxford player won it, because it's they were in. It wasn't too far back when they were in really tricky circumstances. They were only heading in one direction, but both teams have turned it around, put good runs together, climbed up the table. So it'd be nice if one of those two lads won it.
And the managers, we've got Marty Cifuentes, Regis Labrise, Omar Riza, the bad man from Southeast London or wherever he's from, and your friend and mine, Gary Rowett. Yeah,
for me, it's got to be Rowett or Cifuentes. I think Cifuentes is in there because it's obviously the continuation of that run they went on. So it's got to be one of those two for me, hasn't it?
There's no what's that word? Coincidence that those losses came when he was ill and he wasn't there to influence the side on those days. So I think there's a big sort of insight into that. But I'm with you. It's Rowett or Cifuentes for me on that also. We'll come back when those have been announced and we can say we were right or we were wrong, but I think we're going to be probably right on those, to be fair. Okay, predictions then. I can't remember mine, and I wasn't going to troll through hours of footage before we came on, so can you remember when we done them? I'll have it written in this notepad somewhere.
Well, I'll give you mine, and we can I managed to remember what mine were.
Of course you did.
I'm a little bit like, maybe we'll root yours out for next time. Maybe we'll do yours at the end of the next show if you're struggling.
Okay, mate. Oh. No, I've got them. I found them. I knew they'd be in here.
Right.
The old almanac. Was that what Marty McFly? Was it the old sports almanac? Yeah.
Sports almanac. Yeah, man.
There we go. Right, come on then. Let's do it.
All right. So my top 2 when we last did it. I'm trying to think. Have you got the date down there as well in your almanac?
I haven't got the date. No, Rooney was still in charge. So, it was it. So, yeah, I have got the date. It was the 8th of December.
Okay. So, mate? That's it. It wasn't that long ago, but the hell of a lot's changed since then, hasn't there?
Yeah.
So I had Leeds and Sheffield United top 2. I'm thinking Burnley might sneak top 2 now, mate. I honestly do. I think Leeds are going to win it, but I just got this feeling they're just going to grind it out all the way to the promised land, mate. I honestly do, and I think as much as Sheffield United made some really good signings in January, I just think that they are more inconsistent than Burnley are. So I'm going to change mine. I still think Leeds are going to win the league, but I think Burnley are going to sneak second.
There we go. Look at that. Fans all over the country there. Cheers, Fred. Appreciate that. You think Burnley are going to jump in and get second? I had Sheffield United and Leeds, and I'm sticking by that. I do think Sheffield United will come good. I know they're going through a bit of a sticky patch, but they've got a decent home game at the weekend. Haven't they, to go back into second? Forgive me, to get Portsmouth. You'd fancy them to get 3 points there.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stick with my 2 there. The listeners' changes cover for me. I've made a real boo-boo in the bottom 3, but we'll get to that. If you've done your top 2, I'll give you my 4 for the playoffs. I went obviously Burnley, Sunderland, Borough, and West Brom. I would like to make a change, please, if I can. I want to take Borough out.
Oh,
yeah, and I'm gonna. Oh, it's so hard, but I think I'm gonna put in Sheffield Wednesday. I'm going to go for Sheffield Wednesday. That's bold that tonight, but I'm going to do it.
That's bold, mate. I've done the same as you. I've gone for Borough to drop out as well, but I've gone for a bit of a curveball.
Come on.
I've gone for Norwich to sneak that last spot, mate.
Sargent, do you think he's been on fire?
I think Sargent coming back. I think Borja signs his suspension is set to end soon as well.
You've been saying that for about 8 weeks.
I know, mate. I thought he was back. Yeah, I thought he was back a couple of weeks ago. How many games did he get banned for?
think it was 6 games. Yeah.
Bloody hell, yeah. Well, mate, he must be coming back soon, surely.
100%.
But mate, I honestly think Josh Sargent. We'll have to. I tell you what, we'll have to have a chat about Norwich next time round. I think because they're 8th. They're 2 points off the playoffs. They're back in the mix, and they've got probably arguably the best striker in the division. Or one of them at the very least. Back, and he's already scoring goals, isn't he? He's scored a few already straight away. So I think Norwich are going to sneak into the playoffs at the expense of Borough. I'm with you. I think Borough.
Yeah.
I think they're showing signs of they're bottling it a bit almost. It's almost like the pressure's getting to them a little bit.
Like for me, no side with Luke Ayling in it is going to be getting in the playoffs this season. He's an absolute liability.
Yeah. He got embarrassed, didn't he, in the last game against Sunderland with the face. Yeah.
Bottom 3. Who did you have for the bottom 3?
So I had ballsed up. So when we did it, I had Oxford, Cardiff, and Plymouth. Now I've gone for Portsmouth, Derby, and Plymouth.
All right, okay. So you fancy Luton and Argyle to get in with it?
I think Luton have made enough signings in the window to get out of it. I think Hull. I know they're still down there fighting, but I think, again, they made some good signings. I think Sellers is doing some good there. I think Cardiff, I think Cardiff have got enough about them. And I like the fact, and you obviously just mentioned that Riaz is he's up for manager of the month. And I think, he deserves some credit because he came in, they went on a bit of a run, but then again, they went on a terrible run. And we were all kind of pointing the finger saying, you know what, this always happens. The interim guy takes over. There's a bit of an uplift in results. And, you commit to him, and then how quickly then it can start turning south again. But he seems to have steadied the ship once again. He's getting a bit of a decent run out of them. They're scoring some goals as well. They've got 51 goals, which is, they've got not 51, sorry. I was looking at a different team, yeah. No, they're scoring. Yeah?
Get your specs on, what's going on there?
I know, I am specs on there. I was getting mixed up. But no, Callum Robinson up front for him, he's up there with the top goal scorers. They're scoring some goals. So I fancy Cardiff to steer clear. And Oxford, obviously, I just spoke about Oxford. What a great job Rabbit's doing. I don't think they're going to get caught up in it. I think they're going to pull clear. So,
are you going to tell us that you've got a soft spot for Oxford this week? Is that your soft spot club this week? Is it?
They might be my soft spot club this week.
I knew it was.
They might be my soft spot club this week. Yeah. But yeah, so I went Portsmouth, Derby, Plymouth to go down instead of Oxford, Cardiff, Plymouth.
Okay, I'm gonna give you a shocker for this one. I'm going to go for Derby, Pompey, and Swansea. I think Swansea are on an absolute barren run. They can't buy a win for love nor money. And you might look at it and think, actually, it's 7 points. But if Plymouth start picking up, if Luton start picking up, I can't see Derby turning it around. I really do think they're doomed. But there's something about that Swansea side at the moment. The loss of Grimes, the way Luke Williams has been in the kind of the pressers that I've seen of him. Yeah, they're ones to watch for the drop for me.
Mate, 100%. I was contemplating Swansea when I was having a look and thinking about swapping and changing. I think you're right, and I think Stoke can't be discredited either. I just think Robbins will be the key for Stoke. I think he will.
Ali Al Hamadi, is that the striker they put in? He looked good at the weekend. He looked like they'd been missing. Obviously, the loss of Cannon. I know they're different kind of players, but he's come in and I think he can get them goals.
I think again they made a couple of signs, and I think Robbins, his experience, he'll keep Stoke up this season. I think, but Swansea's a good shout because they are on the decline. Williams almost lost the plot in a bit in some of his post-match interviews. So
Still fuming he didn't get the West Brom job. That's why, isn't it? He was banking on that at one point, wasn't he?
I don't think all that helped either, did it? To be honest with you, it all kind of started around that time, didn't it? So yeah, good shout. But again, it's like we're talking about the playoffs. How many teams are involved in that? You know, Millwall who are on 14th place. You know, everyone below that are potentially in the relegation scrap. I think. You know, Preston North End in 15th. You know, all the way down to the bottom. So it's going to be a belting, you know, contest to see who can kind of keep their championship status and who's going to go down to League One.
100%. Okay, let's finish up then with the weekend's championship fixtures. Okay, I know we've done the FA Cup stuff, but you know, Saturday there's some brilliant games, especially at 12:30. You've got Sunderland, Watford, and your good selves West Brom are welcoming Sheffield Wednesday, who've actually made a signing today. I don't know if you saw that. They brought in a Japanese player. Yeah, so I think he'd been training with them for a few weeks, unattached. I think his contract come to an end at his previous club, and they've managed to bring him in today. So another decent addition for Danny Rowe. That's a great meme if you get to see it. It's a Phoenix Knights clip. Paddy lift up the back of the lorry and Danny Rowe and this Japanese boy on the back, you know, giving it away. you know Brian Potter.
Yeah.
That Shan series in the wheelchair, they wheel him out to the thing. It's decent. It's good. It's good banter. So if you get a chance, get a look at that. But yeah, this has got a really potential to be a good game of football. Two really good footballing sides.
What, us against Sheffield Wednesday?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, but mate, no, 100%. I think it'll be a good watch. And look, I'm not. I don't want to say I'm really not confident, but I'm not confident.
You get but listen, this is what you get like. You get your buzzing in the week up to it. Gets to a couple of sleeps before, and the nerves kick in for you.
Mate, Wednesday, look, you know, sorry, mate. I was just saying, you know, I'm a Danny Rowe fanboy. Sheffield Wednesday have had a bit of a hoodoo over us the last couple of seasons, and you know, we obviously made some cracking signings, you know, right at the very end of the transfer window. But you know, I don't think they would have been able to do too much this week with Mowbray on the pitch. You know, would have liked them to have bedded in a little bit more before we come up against Sheffield Wednesday. So I'm a little bit nervous, mate. But you're right. It's you know, this is a real test for us if we want to, you know, nail down this playoff spot. You know, a win against Sheffield Wednesday, you know, it's not obvious. It's not just 3 points on the board, but it's 3 points for, you know, away from them, who are one of those teams in the chasing pack behind us. So, yeah, you're right. I am getting nervous already, man. It's only Thursday bloody night, and I'm already getting nervous thinking about how many beers I'm going to get in, you know, and sink, you know, in order to watch that. So,
the real winner on Saturday is Macy's Calf. I don't know if you saw this. They said they'd give everyone a free sausage bap, I think it was, if Adam Armstrong signed. Well, lo and behold, they did. The club jumped on that. Great for the Calf. I think it'll be absolutely mobbed Saturday morning. So good luck to them. But Adam Armstrong, serious note, you know, we've said on here last couple of weeks we were at the Hawthorns, you know, for the 5-1 game, but still, you look at the weekend at Home Park, and you're thinking they are still missing that focal point. Adam Armstrong comes in; he's got a great chance here to get a run of games while Madge is still out. If he can get some goals under his belt nice and early, it could be a real fight for that spot up top.
Yeah, mate, I'm absolutely buzzing because it was, you know, if we'd not brought him in, I would have been content with the business we did. But you're right. I just felt like we just, you know, I said to you all the way through the window that with Meyer out, I wanted some experience, someone who could come in, you know, who had experience in the division, had scored goals at the division, who could, you knew had a really good chance of settling quickly and doing what needed to be done. And we obviously brought the lad in, Lancashire from Tottenham, who, from everything I've read, is really highly regarded. But you know, there's always that risk, isn't there, with young lads from the Premier League? You know, are they gonna be able to step up straight away or not? But look, I don't think we could have made, in terms of options that were available to us and the caliber of player we'd be able to attract. I don't think we could have done anything better than bringing in Adam Armstrong, to be honest with you, mate. So,
well, the signing of him sort of takes the pressure off the young lad, doesn't it?
I think so. Yeah, definitely. And mate, it's going to give him a lift. It's got to, because look, he struggled in the Premier League. Southampton are having a poor season. He's not getting much game time, but he's one of those players, mate, he's just too good for the Championship almost. But he's not able to kind of make the step up in the Premier League. But I think he will give the place a lift. The team will be absolutely buzzing that they've got a guy who's scored goals for fun. Last 3 or 4 teams he's played for in the Championship, his goal scoring record's fantastic. So, really happy with that. And look, mate, that could be the difference of us getting in the playoffs or not. It's as simple as that, really. I was kind of, before we brought him in, I thought, this is going to be a real challenge to get in the playoffs. Whilst I still think it is, I'm a hell of a lot more confident of us getting in the playoffs now with him being brought in than beforehand. So, massive signing. Look, I'd just he's got to be thrown in straight away for me. All right, he's only had a couple of training sessions, but I just think player of his talent, his goal scoring ability, he ain't come to sit on the bench. I think we're paying a good chunk of his wages to bring him in for the rest of the season. So just get him straight in there, mate. So I'm excited because I think we're going to see a few new faces in the starting 11 Saturday, and the same for Sheffield Wednesday as well. So as much as I'm nervous, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a good game as well.
No Barry Bannon. The rumours are for Sheffield Wednesday he could be missing for quite some time. Look, by the way, I can prove on my phone that you said Adam Armstrong signing guaranteed you the playoffs, but hey, who am I? Okay. Couple of other games to look at as well. Norwich Derby, Sheffield United Pompey, Bristol City v Swansea, 12 o'clock on Sunday as well. That one might be one just to stick on while you're having your kind of brunch. But
mate, all the rest of those games, home wins, mate.
You reckon? Yeah.
I just think, Sunderland, Watford, Norwich Derby, Sheffield United, Portsmouth, Bristol, Swansea. I just can't see anything other than home wins in all them. Look, there probably will be a shock. It's the Championship we're talking about here, but it's tough to see past it, isn't it? With those fixtures and those the poor form those away teams are in. So
Listen, Tom Cleverley's still in a job. That's quite a shock, because obviously what was spoke about a couple of weeks ago. So maybe they are just kind of tight or reining that in slightly. But the more the results don't turn, then the more you think that pressure kind of piles on. They're probably waiting for their excuse. Okie dokie. Look, that's been a decent hour. As I say, Monday night shows coming forward to Sunday night, because we've got prior engagements out at a live match. So hopefully, as I say, we're going to have Steph, who's a Swansea fan. He's going to come on and have a wee chat with us for the first kind of half an hour, and then we'll have some more general points about the weekend's action. As I say, the only kind of 4, 5, 6 games to talk about, so we will get through that in due course. Tom, as always, thank you very much for your time. Just before we go, actually, do you know what you just said there about Adam Armstrong, being quite too good for the Championship and no good enough for the Premier League? There's a list of players I think that are there. We're going to compile that, and we're going to speak about that probably on a pod at a later date, because I think that's great chat. So thanks for joining us. If you've been watching, I know some people have been dipping in and out throughout. So as always, we'll see you on X throughout the week and the weekend. Enjoy your footy. We'll see you again soon. Thank you.